this topic today, we're talking about having a better relationship between Nigerians and South Africans and by extension other African countries. Do you think, or rather, do we think that schools in both countries, Nigeria and South Africa and other African countries, should teach more African unity history? Would you think it will help?
Yes. We need to have that in our curriculum.
But it now takes us back to where we started. Who controls the curriculum?
What you are even talking about? She is even saying we need to add it in Nigeria. As I speak with you today, they have removed history from our schools.
Exactly, history.
Like they don't even teach history.
And then they
It was there,
and it's
and
now
so
removed.
we have a lot of these young kids come. They don't even know where we're coming from.
They don't know anything.
I see even the one of where we are coming from. Our kids today in South Africa who are still very 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, they don't know how to speak their mother tongue, their mother language. You say to them, hello, unjani, I can't hear you.
And then the mother feels it's funky.
And then the mother feels like it's nice.
My girl can speak
like
English.
They don't want to watch, they don't want to. I tried to speak to them back. Literally, it has become fancy that my child can speak.
It takes us back.
In Nigeria, they say who language?
Who language? It takes us back to. It takes us back. I think it takes us back to what it's a collective effort. Now, these children growing up, when you feel they are disturbing you, what do? You take your phone and you give them cocoa melon. You give them Grace's Corner. Go and play.
Yeah.
There's no local content that they can consume because nobody creates it.
No, this one is true.
No local content they can consume.
This one is true.
And that's pretty much where they learn how to speak English. I bet you, if you are a mother, turn on the TV. Is it Ashley's? Just turn on the TV and play Coco Melon. The beginning, pring, pring, pring. Coco Melon. Their attention.
There was research.
And then there's one that says, "Hi, babies." One auntie, one
Do
lady.
you know that there was research that was done on these cartoons that said that Coco Melon is equivalent to what cocaine does to the brain of an adult?
Yes.
Literally psychological research came out that said
I saw that research.
Really?
Every baby, just put, isn't that first sound?
It's cocaine to the brain.
Coco Melon. Glued. My son is 2 now, going to 2. You put Coco Melon,
everything stops. Yes.
He doesn't know what's going on.
And they allow them to eat while they are watching the cartoon.
Yes.
Like the child being present is.
And then you think as a parent that, at least I have me time. No. You're killing the child. As an African, you think, I have me time to do other things.
Can you talk about
heritage?
What is the foundation?
You know what? I think this was a very good idea and conversation. And I think African leaders might need to start listening to podcasts because Nedu brought out a good point, and a point that can be part of the new Africa and the future of the continent as a whole. I think it's very important to start teaching African history in the context of the relationships between African countries, and how various African countries work together in the past or have worked together before, during, slave times, during apartheid, during the Biafran War, during, the wars that are going on in, that have been happening in Congo, the things that are happening in Cameroon. It's good to kind of find out the African countries that have worked together, that were working together, that were enemies, the reason why they were enemies, because it's good to know your allies in the past. For example, most South Africans don't know that Nigeria helped South Africa a lot during apartheid. A prime example is
the hustling mentality of Nigerians. I often see Tembakwayo in Nigeria, just praising and embracing this entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians. Of course, at some point, Nigeria was even thriving better than South Africa. And there was a military coup and, the progress, there was regression. At some point, Nigeria was the leading country in the globe that was pushing against apartheid. Nigeria gave the ANC, the PAC, and many liberation movements, millions.
No one knows that.
Oh, no one knows about that.
I've never heard it until today.
Oh, yes. It's
That in Nigeria was standing in solidarity with us and supplying us with resources during the struggle.
Especially, it started with Prime Minister Bawela. During his tenure in the 60s, he was the one who even led the exclusion of the apartheid government from the Commonwealth. And then you also had General Obasanjo. In 1978, he then decided, when he took power in the 70s, in 1978, he then phased out BP, British Petroleum, from Nigeria, because at that point, there were sanctions against the apartheid government. But then Britain decided to resurrect its trade relations with apartheid South Africa. What did Obasanjo do? He decided to close down the trade agreement between BP and the Nigerian government. Why?
You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't know that. And that is the story for most Africans. And that is why you see sometimes it's like we're enemies instead of allies, because history is not taught. You know, when I was in secondary school, because I went to secondary school back on the continent in Nigeria, right? And a lot of the history that was being taught was very westernized history. You know, it was, very UK based, British based. You know Lord Lugard. What's her name? Shaw, the lady Shaw, whatever her name is. You know of just we were like all these European names and what they did. Who named the River Niger? Who did like all these things? And I remember I was in Zambia, and I think a place in Zambia called Livingstone, went to visit. And I can't recall exactly, but I was hearing them say that they are renaming the place because the place is named after like the British people who just came over and, tried to claim it. But it was originally an African who actually owned the place. I don't know if, I heard something like that. So these are the things that we have to start teaching the kids from a young age, from primary school, so that they are empowered and they know more about the continent than teaching them about westernized things that it's not going to be helpful for them. Because most of the times when we all grow up on the continent, we more or less see each other as we are either superior to this country is inferior to us. We have this animosity amongst each other, and it's bred because of what you're taught. If we are taught to like love, like what is it that brings us together, that is going to be more helpful for us building together, appreciating one another, our strengths, our weaknesses, and helping each other out. So I think that's a very good point that they made on this show. And I think it's something to be considered. I think African or inter-African history should be taught, or, even if they want to make it between the African communities like SADC, COMESA, ECOWAS, there should be courses in primary, secondary, university that talks about ECOWAS, an ECOWAS course discussing the intricacies of ECOWAS or SADC or COMESA. These are things that we need to start doing and stop relying on the Western education system that was like, shoved down everyone's esophagus. Yeah, I think that's, man, very good point, man. Very good point. Yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Should it be something to be considered? Is it going to be helpful? Is it too late for that? So yeah, let me know what you think. Comment, like. If you haven't subscribed, guys, please subscribe to the channel. If you watch but you don't subscribe, no. Please subscribe, man. Much love. This is Full Chest. Peace.